Welcome to our channel, Traveling with the Els. In this video, we're going to share some very important tips, some things to do and some things not to do on the ship, the Encore, on our Alaskan cruise.
The first thing we want to talk about is the check-in. And so you can check in 21 days ahead of time for the Norwegian Encore. And so I stayed up till midnight to check in right away, right at midnight. And checking in was pretty easy, but what that did is it got us an early on board. So we were able to get to the ship dock at between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, which was important because that got us in one of the first groups that were actually able to board the ship.
One nice thing about the early check-in is we got on and we were able to get to the buffet before it got crowded. Because as the afternoon wore on, we saw that it got really crowded in there. So if you happen to be a later check-in, we just want to give you a heads up. One floor down from the buffet is the observation lounge, and they do offer light fare in there, and there's no lines.
Also too, when you get on right away, you're going to want to go and to your muster station. There's actually a place where you're assigned to go. It's usually on your ship card that you get. And you go there right away as soon as you get on the boat and check in, and they scan your card, and that way you make sure you've done your muster station.
You want to book your entertainment, and they do that in the Cavern Club. So you want to find the Cavern Club, and you can go in there, and you want to book. We did book Choir Man ahead of time. We did that right after we did our online check-in. Choir Man is a must-do. We've been on many cruise ships, and I'm going to rate that a solid 5. 1 to 5. That show is a must-see.
I liked it, but I've seen other shows before on ships, and I'd say it was a 4 out of 5 in my opinion. It was good though.
So the other things you're going to need to book in the Cavern Club is the comedy show. They have 2 shows. We just did the clean show, which it was okay. If we're going to do a rate on that again, I'm going to give that a 3.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 also. It was okay. It was nothing spectacular. So probably a 3 out of 5.
But the Beatles, we loved the Beatles. The band that did the tribute to the Beatles, they were really good. And they played in the Cavern Club. You do not need reservations, but you want to be there early, or you're not going to get seats. So if you watched any of our other videos, you saw Les and I jamming out to the Beatles. We really enjoyed the Beatles.
The Beatles show was super popular. They only had a couple shows that week. And the one show that we did actually get in to see, they actually were also streaming that live in the atrium also. So if you didn't get in the Cavern Club, you could watch it in the atrium. But I would say, in my opinion, that's definitely a 5 out of 5. The Beatles show, and absolutely don't want to miss that.
Check your luggage. You don't want to be carrying your luggage around, because we found they did really good at getting our luggage to us early. We were allowed in our rooms by 2 p.m. and I think by 3 our luggage showed up, which we were very happy about because we had a specialty dining the first night, so we wanted our dress clothes, and we had no problem getting that in time.
One of the things too, as far as the specialty dinings, you can book those ahead of time, and so we did. We got a complimentary 2 specialty dining in our package, and what we did is one of those we went for Ocean Blue, and that was our very first night on the ship. We did Ocean Blue, and I would say Ocean Blue was pretty good.
Ocean Blue was good, but I feel that I picked the wrong thing. It came down to a matter of taste, not whether they made it good or not. I just think that I picked the wrong thing, but I know Les really liked his meal. The Texas Q.
Absolutely. The Texas barbecue, in my opinion, was the best meal I've had on the boat. And so maybe some people have a little different opinion, but I love the Texas chili. I love the barbecued ribs, the drinks and so forth. They were excellent. To me, absolutely a 5 out of 5. It was my favorite meal of the entire trip.
Yeah, we're going to go against the grain of what a lot of people say, and to me that was a 5 out of 5 too. And you want to make sure that you get the banana dessert in the mug. That is amazing. That was my favorite dessert of the whole cruise. Something else we want to recommend you do is you get the water package.
In your room, you're going to be thirsty in there. You're going to want drinks. We bought the 12-pack of water, and I forget what it cost. It might have been about $30, $29, $30, something like that. But what it did, gave us 12 like liter bottle size drinks, and there are things you can drink while you're sitting there look out on your balcony looking around. And I thought that was really good because the actual cups upstairs, they're just small cups. And so you always had water there, like whatever we need. If you got to take pills or just to keep hydrated while you're sitting there in your balcony on your stateroom.
There are so many lists of things you need to buy for the cruise, and a lot of the things we bought we didn't even use. I'm just going to give you a 2 must-have list. If you want to know more about things that we bought for clothing and things like that, we're going to do a separate video on what you need to pack. But the 2 things that you want to buy, you want the magnetic hooks. They were wonderful. We loved having those. And the other is the lanyard. The lanyard to carry your card, your room card. They were the only 2 things we bought specifically from other people's lists that we really used. Some of the other things we didn't use the whole week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The hooks are awesome, but there were a lot of things people said to buy, like tags and other. We didn't use a lot of that stuff.
We are from the East Coast, so it was kind of hard staying up real late for us. But the first night you get on the boat, you want to party. You're very happy to be on there. And we did go to the comedy, where the comedy is.
The comedy club.
Yes, that is where you want to go for the silent disco. I never did a silent disco before, and it was a blast. I had so much fun.
They have like about 4 different genres of music are being played inside that one room. Everybody has headphones on, and they like light up like a red, blue, green, or yellow color. And as you move from one area to another in that room, the music in your headphones changes to a different genre. And so like they had rock and roll, they had country and other ones. It was really fun because you see people dancing over here one way, and your music isn't matching up with what they're doing. So it was really cool. I thought that was something that you don't want to miss that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we love doing that. Now we want to talk about the thermal pass. We actually spent the money to do the thermal pass. We debated about that. We weren't sure whether to do it or not. And then we decided to go for it. We enjoyed it. We were there pretty much every day. We
knew we weren't going to be able to use the pools outside much at all. And so at least that way we would get into some thermal water. They have a nice thermal, like large pool there that you can get into that's heated. It's got jets in it too also. It's much larger than probably any swimming pool you'd have at home. And it could, fit a number of people in it. But that was just part of what it was in that thermal spa pass.
Yeah, the jets around the whole edge, but in the middle was a waterfall that would pound, and I really enjoyed neck and shoulders. It would pound on you. It felt so good. And then there was another corner of the pool. It was like a stand-up whirlpool. Those jets were so strong you had to hold on because it wanted to shoot you right out.
Correct.
But it felt so good. And in that thermal spa, there were therapy rooms. You could choose from the sauna. They had an ice room. But my favorite room was the salt room. I spent a lot of time in the salt room. I really enjoyed that.
One of the things that you can do besides that is they actually have tables that you can lay on. They're like heated, like a stone ceramic tables. You can lay on for your neck and your shoulders and stuff. And you can lay on them, and it's actually pointed out at the back of the boat. So you can actually see the view from the back of the boat as you're relaxing there on one of those nice, warm, heated stone loungers.
Yes, those loungers were nice. Now, you got to be patient. Again, they're hard to come by. Everybody wants those loungers, so just be patient. People will move from them. If you're waiting for one of those, there's real nice loungers, nice cushy loungers that you can wait until you can get one of those nice stone loungers.
Hang out in that warm pool until one of them comes available and jump up and go and grab it.
Yeah. So we did enjoy it. We used it. It was expensive.
It cost about $300 a person, but in the end, I thought that was probably worth it because we didn't get to do any swimming outside or any of the other stuff outside. It's not designed for that in Alaska.
Yeah. Now, we did not buy any of the spa services. We only stuck to the thermal pass, just using all the stuff that came with that pass. We just want to give you a heads up about the complimentary
Correct.
meals.
So you think about, they had the garden grill, which was very good. I mean, they pretty much is a buffet, like any buffet, has pretty much everything on it. And so I would say that probably, that's a good 3 out of 5 on that. The food was good. There was nothing spectacular about that. And sometimes the food wasn't maybe quite as hot as you would want it. Because sometimes I think they're preheating and pre-making a lot of this food and putting it out. But still, it's regular food just like you would get at a buffet. And it was pretty good.
Yeah, we enjoyed that, especially for our breakfast in the morning. We did go one morning down to Savor for our breakfast, where we could order our breakfast, which was delicious.
Yes. The Manhattan dining room is the main dining room for the ship. So in the evenings, a lot of people, they try and get into the Manhattan dining room. But that also means it gets pretty crowded too. A lot of people trying to go at probably the time you want to eat, and it might end up that you have to wait. Or we even had, the one time we went down there, we had to sit with somebody else. So they didn't have a table for two. We had to sit with another couple. And that worked out.
Yeah, that was all right. But we were there for our anniversary. So we wanted to just be in a smaller group, just him and I. So if you're in a smaller group and you want to keep it a little more intimate, we suggest going down to either Savor or Taste. They're just one floor down from the Manhattan. And it's the exact same food that they're serving in the Manhattan, which we thought was very good. We liked the complimentary food. Now, if I were to rate that, I'm going to give that a solid 4.5.
Yes, it was pretty good. The main dining room and the Savor and Taste, both of them had the same menu. They were pretty good. Yeah, I'd say a 4 out of 5 on those. And one of the things, too, is if there's a big crowd up at the Manhattan, then go down to Savor and Taste. They can get you through a little quicker. Maybe you get in and out and don't have so long a wait.
And that did happen to us because it was an hour wait for the Manhattan room. So we went down to Savor and we went right in.
And for lunch, our favorite was the local. And that is like on that mid-level overlooking the atrium. And there they had sort of like pub food, like burgers and fries. They had fish sandwiches.
My favorite was the Reuben. So, and there also was a really good dessert there that I liked. It was a nice thick chocolate brownie with like a cheesecake layer on top. That was very good too. So again, another place you might want to save room for dessert.
And that area too, there was a lot of tables for two. So if you're just a couple, you only have two of you, a lot of small tables, and then they can put them together if you have a larger group. So that was one of our favorites was the local.
Something you might be wondering about is cell phone usage. I know this was something we were wondering and didn't know till we actually got on there. Our package came with some 30 minutes of complimentary internet. As far as the cell phones, you cannot use your phones on the boat. The only place we were able to use our phones even a little was while we were still sitting in the port of Seattle. The rest of the time when you're on the boat, and we have two different carriers, and neither one of our carriers worked on the cruise ship.
Towards the internet, we got a 30-minute complimentary deal with our package we got, but I'll tell you, that's tricky too, because you got to go on the app to activate it, and then what happens is you use it, and then if you don't log out of that app, it keeps right on accruing that time, and before you know it, your 30 minutes is gone and you only used 5 minutes of it. the internet package, the complimentary one, the 31 minutes, we didn't get our use out of that.
Important point is if you need that internet, especially if you're posting pictures to Facebook or Instagram, make sure you log out to save those points. They do have that you can purchase small amounts of minutes, and we did do that on the last day.
I wanted to get my boarding passes for the flights home, and so I bought a small package, like 20 minutes of Wi-Fi, and I was able to get all that taken care of.
In the end, it was a blessing that we didn't have our internet minutes, because we focused on what we were looking at and each other. I'm going to go right into Glacier Bay. I have to give props to our captain. He was amazing how he maneuvered that ship. Some areas where it was really close, but when we got up to the glaciers, he did something spectacular for the whole boat.
We were on the starboard side of the boat. So what happened is when he went in, he was on the port side. And so that side of the boat could see the glaciers real well. And then when he got right to the glacier, then he would spin the boat around in the same spot. He did that at least 3 times. And every time, especially in Glacier Bay, every time it spun to our side, we saw the glaciers calving.
Don't fall victim to the idea that you have to run to the front of the boat to see it. And a lot of people did. Yes, it's cool because that's the only time that it's open and you can be out there. But once you get out there, it's hard to see because you have so many people in front of you. Yeah. And we didn't realize he was going to spin the boat. So then we went to the side of the boat in one of the public areas along the railing. But then when we saw that he was spinning the boat, we ran back to our balcony. And it was beautiful. So he made sure 360, everybody on that boat got to see those glaciers.
Correct. And so that really was cool. As far as the captain was awesome, and the views, especially that Glacier Bay, we highly recommend. If you got a cruise and it has Glacier Bay on it, that's the one you want to be on.
Our favorite excursion, we loved them all, but our favorite really was in Skagway. Do not miss the White Pass Yukon Railway. That was so beautiful, and Les really liked the history of it because the whole time you're on there, they're talking about the gold rushers and what they went through and what they experienced. But you can't get the view of Alaska like you can from that train. That was worth every penny to me. Correct.
That train ride, I mean, I think that might have been my favorite part of the whole trip. I liked it all, believe me, but that part of the trip, it's like you're back in the 1800s, yes, riding that railroad up into the mountains looking for gold. It really made you feel like you were a part of that time frame where you were on the gold rush team.
We have 2 tips for that train. Number 1, left side. That will give you the view going up the mountain. That's the view you want. So sit on the left side. Tip number 2, don't just sit in your seat. Get up. They have open areas. Get out to the open area where you can really experience it without the obstruction of the windows.
Exactly. The people, they're all sitting in their seats. But if you get up and move to the back of the train or to the front of the car, you can actually get out and you can take film and camera pictures or whatever, and you don't have all that reflection of the windows and the glass on it. And it really gives you more of that feeling that the air blowing through your hair and how cold it is in some of those spots. And you get the whole feeling of the railroad, not like it is today, but like it would have been 100 years ago. And I think that's really awesome. Some of those places, the snow drifts were like 6-7 feet deep up there on top there. And then they have a pass cut through it where the train's going. But it was super cool. And that is absolutely a 5 out of 5, no question about it, for the White Pass Yukon Railroad.
I agree. And then in Juneau, you got to go see Mendenhall Glacier.
You got to get pretty close to it on that tour. You're able to even walk out even closer if you want. But one of the things about Mendenhall Glacier I like, not only how close you got, but the huge, big chunks of ice that have broken off of that glacier are out floating in that lake right in front of the glacier. And they're bigger than a school bus or a building or your house. That's how big these broken pieces are, and that was really cool to watch.
You only have a very short time in Ketchikan and even shorter time in Victoria. So Ketchikan, just be careful because you're only there a couple hours. We enjoy just walking around,
Right.
but if you're going to do an excursion, just remember you're there a very short time.
Yeah, so that's another thing too. We thought maybe they could have budgeted time a little better for those, but it did seem like maybe they would have been nice to have more time in Ketchikan.
If you do not have an early excursion, we recommend you waiting it out a little bit. So many people get in line and shove in especially like in the atrium, to wait till that call that you can get off, and it's hot, it's uncomfortable, there's no place to sit. So if you don't have to get off right away, we recommend you wait.
And so one thing I wanted to mention too is, as far as like souvenirs for the ship souvenirs, because that's part of what I enjoy. I enjoy getting my things that I like to have. Is like a nice polo that says Norwegian Encore Alaska on it, and so I was a little disappointed they didn't have those on the ship, and it seemed like the actual ship itself souvenirs was very limited. I really think that they could do a better job of that. Maybe some personal souvenirs for that ship that you can take home with you.
Was the Norwegian Encore Alaskan cruise worth it?
So the money to go on an Alaskan cruise is significantly more than that of a Caribbean cruise. So initially you're going to have a lot more upfront money. On top of that too, you also have your excursions, and they're not $50 excursions. All these excursions, the popular ones, are at least $150 to $300 or more per person. And those are for the good excursions. Everything costs more in Alaska. But that being said, was it worth it? Absolutely. It was worth it.
Yes, it was.
This, without a doubt, was at least my favorite vacation I've ever been on. The scenery, just the experiences, to see those snow-capped mountains, to see those glaciers, to ride that train, nothing compares to that. So absolutely, we highly recommend the Norwegian Encore cruise to Alaska.
I have to tell you, visiting Alaska and seeing those views and enjoying it, it does something right here. I will always have Alaska right here.
We highly recommend. If you have not gotten a chance to see our videos we have a video for pretty much every port of call. We'll have one for Juneau. We have one for Skagway. We have one for the Glacier Bay. We have Ketchikan. And we also have our pre-cruise videos. So it's called Traveling with the L. So you might want to make a note of that. It's Traveling with the L's. Watch all our videos. And hopefully you'll find something there that's going to help you as you plan and then eventually complete your trip to Alaska on the Norwegian Encore.
We hope that you get to have this opportunity for yourself. And if you are somebody that already has it booked, oh, you're going to have the time of your life. So just get ready for an amazing experience. We want to share one more thing. Because we've been there, done that, if you have any questions whatsoever, please put them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them for you.
Make sure to like and subscribe to Traveling with the L.